And it's been a minute. It's been a minute. My name's Anderson Jean. This is the Freedom Express. Like, share, and subscribe. Launched this channel a couple months ago. Finally putting out some content, and the channel is going to be centered around the Constitution, politics, social issues, and how we're able to resolve these issues. Where we are today, where we want to go in the future. As you know, my name is Mr. Anderson. And I have my man Vaughn here and my man Corey. Corey, how are you?
All is well, brother. Thank you for having me.
No problem, no problem. And Vaughn, how are you?
I'm doing fine, man. Happy to be here.
Great, great, great. So, guys, how do we guys meet? Like, seriously, how do we meet? Because I know I met you guys somewhere. I don't remember exactly how, but we did meet somewhere.
Yeah, I do remember when we got to the hotel. I was there first, out of me and Corey. And I remember because I was at the desk, they was talking about paying the holding fee. I'm like, I'm not paying no holding fee. I didn't get the room, so I'm not paying no holding fee.
Okay.
And
you didn't pay the holding fee?
And the guy was like, all right, you can just go up there. I'm like, all right, cool. And I'm like, trying to see who my roommate was and whatnot. Long story short, I was coming back down. I think, Corey, did you ask me about? Yeah, I think you came in and asked me, like, where do you go to check in? And he was like, I was like, yeah, what room, what floor, or something like that. Something just transpired like that. But we ended up going literally to the same room. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's my room. And then, that's how we met right there. And then I think, yeah.
What about you, Corey? How did we meet?
I think a similar way. So basically, we went down to DC for the Black Leadership Summit, and while we were down there, we were bumping elbows with a bunch of conservatives and different guys down there. So ended up seeing Vaughn, right? And I met him at the front desk, and we ended up having the same room. So then we were like, all right, now we got to go check it out, see what's going on. So we walking around, and I think we bump into you. I can't remember exactly how, but I remember bumping into you, and I remember hanging out with you down there.
Yeah.
And once we met, we clicked. We went everywhere. We can talk about the stories later. We've been to some places in DC, seen some things, done some things.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Plenty of stories to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We were cool since day one.
No, absolutely. I remember that night too. That weekend, we were invited and we were at the White House, and it was just a great time. I mean, to be inside the White House with a sitting president, how many people can say they've done that? And we didn't do it not once, we did it twice. 20.
Yeah,
so it's amazing. I mean, to be inside the East Room, and I remember different gates we had to go through, security checkpoints to get into the White House. And I thought I was a big guy. And I thought I was a big guy until I saw some of those Marines inside the White House. I was like, yo. And I'll never forget, before the president walked in, the Secret Service had blocked off the entryway. And I was trying to get out to use the bathroom. He goes, no, the president's coming in. You got to stay in here. And I sized him up, and he's this big dude. I'm like, all right, let me go to retreat. He's got a gun.
Gung-ho.
He got a gun too.
Gung-ho fellas, yeah.
So you got this big dude, Secret Service agent. You have this other big dude, this Marine. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna just hold it. I'm playing cool. I'm gonna hold it. But it was a great weekend. It was a really great weekend. We met a lot of great people. That I plan on getting on the platform. I really plan, like the Brysons of the world, Officer Mike Tatum. I want to get some of those guys on here, and I want to get other people and I want to get a few of my liberal friends and moderate friends, and kind of have this discussion about the things we need to do and where we need to go. But tonight, what I really want to focus on, the question I want to ask you guys is, do you believe our great country, the United States of America, is headed in the right direction with this new administration? What do you guys think? What are you guys feeling? What are you guys hearing on the ground? Because I know, Corey, you're in Delaware, right? And I'm in Texas, good old Texas. So I want to kind of get a feel of what are things going on, because I'm in the Northeast, and it's a bubble up here. It's all blue. So according to the people I'm around, everything is great. But I want to kind of get a feel, and I know with Corey, you're in by DC, so the feelings are probably the same. But Vaughn, you're in Texas. How are things in Texas?
It's still, to be honest, it's still the Trump country out here. You know, I still see people with the hats and the flags, and then I see new flags. You know, 2024 flags that
Mhm.
Trump probably ain't even put out, but people like to make. They make their own flags and stuff. But I just recently got down here, but in Colorado. Uh, since I just recently moved out here, and I stayed in Colorado Springs, and Colorado Springs is very conservative city. So a lot of those people are still doing the same things. Election was rigged. It was this, and we need election integrity and all of this stuff, and a lot of very displeased people.
Mhm.
But I can say right now in Texas, uh, you see your Trump flags or whatnot, but for the most part, people just moving on with their day and uh, getting to work and making money.
Gotcha. Now, is there a sense that the people are satisfied with the current administration and what they're doing? I mean, I know you live in Texas, and I know the southern border is, further south of the state, and I've heard it's a mess down there. What are you hearing on the ground, and what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I want to say like probably I do stay around a lot of I would say where I live is I've seen a lot of black folks. I've seen a lot of black folks. I've seen some whites or whatnot. But you go further west or north, it gets to more to the white areas or whatnot. But this area right now, I mean, it's a pretty good area. But really, I've really haven't heard really anything. A lot of people that I've come in contact with, they really don't talk about uh, politics as I thought they would. Moving here to Texas, of it being Texas, a red state. But a lot of people that I do know personally here in Texas feel like that this administration is the direction that we needed to go to move the country forward.
So you're saying that they feel as if with this current administration, they're doing the right thing.
Yes.
Wow,
Select few
Texas.
people that I know.
Wow.
Select few people that I know, yeah.
Oh
I
wow!
wouldn't expect that from Texas, man.
Right.
Maybe if you go to the cities where it's more concentrated, right, you might get more blue.
Yeah.
But overwhelmingly, I would expect Texas to be not so supportive of the current administration.
Yeah, no, most definitely. No, I do wear my, I wear my shirts, I have a Brexit sweater, liberals can't bully me on the back, some stuff like that. And I do get a lot of, oh, I love your shirt. I love this.
Do you have a Trump? Do you have a Trump hat?
Oh, I have about, I don't even know how many, about 8, 10, 11. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
There's plenty of them. They probably in the closet somewhere. They mixed up with my mood, but I do have plenty of them.
Okay. So what about you, Corey? I know you're in Delaware.
Yeah.
And I know that's Biden country.
Yeah, heavily. So I saw some things leading up to the election, like you're going to see a whole bunch of Biden supporters. You're going to see the signs in the yards, T-shirts, things like that. And like I said, since we are in Biden country, then you're going to see a bunch of people that are supporting them. Everyone that I know, like friends and family, for the most part, support them. And if they don't support them, they tend to not support either side. Like they'll say, "Oh, I don't trust any politician." Either they're 100% for Biden, or they'll say, "I don't trust any politician." There is no conservative really in Delaware. There may be a few handful here and there, but yeah, most of them, they either support Biden or they say he's just like everybody else.
So it's safe to say if somebody ran as a Republican down there,
Not gonna happen. Don't get a chance.
Yeah, so they'd be wasting your time. They'd be wasting your time. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, in Connecticut, I mean, this is blue country. I mean, not much is different here than in than Delaware. Now, obviously, you guys followed the conviction of Derek Chauvin, and I was nervous because it was like, okay, if they don't convict him, this country's going to explode.
Yeah.
That was my fear. And it's unfortunate because we live in a country where, when people don't get their way, that's what they do. And it shouldn't be that way. I believe in law and order. And I believe in a country where obviously everyone abides by the law and people's rights are respected. I've never supported the idea, if I don't get my way, let me go burn a building down, because burning a building down in my community, it's going to affect the people that live there. And so I was afraid, okay, if they don't convict this man, this was going to happen. And so they convicted him. And he'll be sentenced, I believe, in 8 weeks. Did you guys agree with the conviction? Or do you felt as if he was convicted out of fear and the facts were not presented to the jury?
I'll take that one first. So I'll say this: I don't think it was correct, right? I don't think he was guilty of murder. I didn't think that there was intent there. I didn't think that he was out to do harm, or the narrative basically was that he was a racist cop, and he had it out for George, and that he sat there and kept his knee on his neck for 9-10 minutes and wanted to see the guy die. And he was just an evil, sick man, right? Mm-hmm. So they had to prove that in court, right? They had to prove that he had intent to kill. They had to prove that he knew he was killing him, that he knew, he was dying, stuff like that. I didn't see it. From what I saw things to the contrary. I saw a lot of things that would give me doubt, which is why I say I don't think he was guilty of what they said he was guilty of. We can talk about that, but I'll let Vaughn go ahead, jump on and give his perspective on what he thinks.
Yes, I was actually trying to, watch the whole trial, but I'm doing a lot of work, so I can catch pieces here and there, catch a little testimony here and there. I feel as though it's all up to the jury. I mean, that's what's set in our Constitution. The jury decides if the person is guilty or is the person not guilty of the crimes that he's been, accused of.
Right.
And you have your both sides. You have the prosecution whose duty is to prove without a reasonable doubt that he did murder him, and you have your defense to defend their client. And I do with, like Anderson said, that see me, I'm neither here or there on this case. I just watched it from a distance. But I do feel if somebody is murdered, whether I'm not saying he was murdered or not, I'm just saying, if somebody is murdered and they go to trial and they are convicted of a murder, then by a jury it appears, and that's just the right verdict. But I do feel, like you said, Anderson, I might feel like it was pressure on this jury, especially because they weren't sequestered at all. When you hear congresswomen and congressmen, congresspeople alike saying, if this person is acquitted,
right,
then we need to be in the streets. We need to be more confrontational. You put pressure on the jury to be like, okay, these people know where my house is. Somehow these people know where this is. I'm gonna be beaten. I'm gonna be killed. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna go in there and vote guilty. That might be a perspective, but I did watch a video of one juror, and that's just one, who said that with the evidence and the facts that she was presented with, that she would have voted guilty anyway. And she said that because she said the very picture that got her was when he had his knee on his neck with the hands in his pockets, just sitting there, just looking, And she said that really got her, and she just felt like that, there was it was wrongdoing going on.
So,
but I would say that's neither here or there. But I would say, the family has their closure, even though they got paid about $30 million before the verdict even came. And the defense, like the judge said, I don't know if y'all seen it, but they might have grounds for appeal. But
right,
because of and it's just somebody's happy, somebody's not. So
I want to talk about the thing you just said. You said that the juror said that when she saw the video, that she already in her mind knew that he was guilty. That's kind of like, I want to talk about that because that's not fair to Derek Chauvin, because you still have to look at the rest of the evidence. You know what I mean? You can't just say,
wait. Did you just say it's not fair to Derek Chauvin?
What I'm saying.
Because
here's the point. So when you're accused of something, right, you have your day in court. Okay, so prior to the day in court, the video came out. So if she already had an opinion that he was guilty before looking at other evidence, before his day in court, right, months ahead, that means that no amount of evidence could have. She didn't take into account any evidence that was presented by the defense. That's what basically was happening, or the prosecution, because it didn't matter to her whether or not there was evidence of wrongdoing or not, of guilty or not. She already made her mind up. So what I'm saying is, when you're convicted, you're accused of something,
right?
You're not guilty. You're innocent till proven guilty. And if the video showed evidence, well, maybe another angle might show more evidence, or maybe people testifying, or evidence about the autopsy, things like that. That stuff plays a role. And if you just say, "Oh, I see this, therefore it is this," no matter what, it's kind of like you're closed-minded. You're not allowing due process to play itself out. You just kind of jump into conclusions at that point.
Now, she did say the evidence that she was presented with, during that trial process. I don't know if her mind was already set, because this year, as you and I know, it was national news. So I'm pretty sure everybody seen the video. But she did say with the evidence that she was presented with in court, and she did have her, her court notes that she had from court in her hand while she was, being interviewed for this. But I don't know if, like you said, she already had her mind made up by then.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of the jurors had their mind made up by then, but it is the duty of a juror to put that aside and just listen to the facts. But she did say that based off of the facts that she was presented to during that trial. But that's just what she said. I don't know her.
I don't understand that though. I can't. Yeah. I don't understand how they come to that conclusion.
I'm gonna say this because the stance you've taken, Corey, that would have a lot of people in our community going crazy, like, "Oh my God, this Uncle Tom, how can you say that?" And these are things I've heard too, and I've been called these names. I mean, it doesn't faze me one bit, because I'm interested in the facts. What are the facts? And I'm a firm believer: facts over narratives. What are the facts, and not what the media is pushing. So it's interesting that you said that, because if the people that look like us, if they hear that, they'll be, okay, wait a minute, how can he look like the man and say that? So it's very now. Do you believe there's a lack of accountability on both ends within our community and with policing in America? Like, do you think police reform is needed, and do you think accountability in our community is also needed?
Yeah, I do. Of course, there are always things that both sides could do better, right? There are things that we could do better. There are things that police could do better. To touch on maybe like one quick thing, I think something that leads to crime and leads to run-ins with police and things like that is the lack of fathers in the home, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
And that can go another way. People can say, "I'm Uncle Tom" for that. It don't matter. But the point is, there are things that we can do. And then for police, let's say better training, right? We can have more oversight to where you're not allowing just one guy to go out there and make the arrest. Maybe you have backup. You get more heads are better than one, right? So if you get two guys to talk it over before acting, if possible. Now, I know it's not always possible, but if possible, make sure you're doing the right thing first and then act next. But don't just have cops out there unaccounted for, or ones that are poorly trained out there thinking that they're upholding the law. Meanwhile, they're breaking the law. That's just the tip of the iceberg for me. What about you, Vaughn?
Well, Vaughn, let me interject before you jump in.
Okay.
I agree with the sentiment, especially as a community organizer and a teacher. The lack of fathers in the home, it has a huge impact on children, especially young boys.
Yeah.
People are so quick to blame the police. Oh, the police need better training. Well, children need to be raised.
Right.
I mean, and I know this is controversial. People get upset. Well, the truth doesn't bring people together. The truth is separates. And, there are two groups of people that society places so much responsibility on: police and teachers. My child's not reading well. My child's not doing well. As a teacher, what are you guys not doing?
Yeah.
My child's not behaving in the streets. The cops need better training. But it's like, what about the parents? I'm a firm believer in people need to marry before they carry.
I agree too.
Because statistically speaking, you put your child in a better advantage to succeed in life. And if you care about your children the way you say you do, you're going to put them in an advantage to succeed. I'm not a father yet. I'm neither a husband. But I want to make sure I get my ducks in a row before I go into that convention of marriage and have children. So when I do bring children to this world, I'm putting my babies in a situation where they're going to succeed and do well in life. Anything outside of that, in my opinion, that's selfish. Because now you bring a child into a world where you're going to struggle to provide for that child. Now you're putting that undue burden on society to raise your child. And then the child does not have a father or a mother in the home. And then now the child's running around engaging in criminal behavior, criminal enterprise. And then cops have to make split-second decisions. And it's like, well, cops need better training. And don't get it twisted. There are a lot of bad apples out there. There are a lot of bad cops out there. There are good cops, there are a lot of bad cops. We need to get them out of there. And we need to reform policing how it's done in America. I agree with that. Because police have brutalized black men in this country. It's not a secret. But I believe, I'm a firm believer, everything starts at home. And so if parents are not taking the responsibility to make sure they're marrying before having children, they're raising their children with standards and good family values, how do we put this responsibility on police and others to do that for us? And I think that's where, certain aspects of our community will say, we're coons and Uncle Toms, and, we're not buying into the narrative that the media is pushing. But it's like, no, we need accountability needs to be, it starts in the home, and then we hold police officers accountable. And I'm a firm believer, before you ask other people to clean their house, you need to clean yours. And we have a lot of cleaning to do. And a lot of people don't talk about that. Like, we want to point out the education system. Let's point out the police department. Let's point out this person.
Right.
What about us? Oh, that's not what we're talking about. But go ahead.
Yeah, and that's I do agree that everything starts in the home. I'm also on an internship for a company in Colorado Springs that's trying to actually work with with help guiding the direction in the educational system in Colorado Springs. Mm-hmm. So I do believe everything starts at home. And I did, I spoke with parents a couple of weeks ago. One just this past week. They was like, well, teachers this and teachers that. But, it's also our responsibility as parents, to teach our children how to be, responsible adults. So, when they get somewhere, they know how to act. And that's, I think, like you said, both sides have things that they need to work on. I know plenty of police officers, federal officers, local officers. So my view has never been, not just saying because I know them, but to, demonize police officers. I'm not like, it wouldn't be fair for us, all three of us, to be looked at as ghetto or any of this just because somebody next door robbed somebody and they were black. What they got to do with us?
Right.
We doing what we have to do.
That's a good point.
Not all officers are like that. Literally not all. Now you might run into them, most definitely. I done ran into some. They got that itch. They had that itch, but it's just all both when you're in a situation like that, I believe both people have to know how to have de-escalation.
Right.
De-escalation.
Right. That's a good point.
Even if the other person is not trying to de-escalate anything,
right,
you just be that bigger man and just keep on with the de-escalation. But I do feel like police officers are being attacked in this country, literally from every direction, and the media has a big part to play in that because they sensationalize Black Death. It's like, oh my goodness, here go another one. Let me slam that on the front page of this newspaper. Let me run this story 600 times a day.
Right.
But the white person that got killed, he gonna be in that small little section down there on the newspaper about this big.
Because you know what it is?
Man died. That's all it doesn't
generate.
Man died.
I believe
it
because
doesn't generate revenue.
Ratings. Right. It doesn't generate ratings, so no one talks about it. Now, my mindset is this: equality is an illusion. There's no such thing as equality. No two things in this world is equal. Never has been, never will be.
What do you mean by that? Explain, because some people are going to say like, aren't men and women equal, or aren't blacks and white equal? What does it mean to be equal?
Men are unique. Women are unique.
Mm-hmm.
God created men with a set of responsibilities and traits that make men unique, and God created women with a set of responsibilities and traits that make them unique. Women are beautiful and they're essential to our society. Men are strong and intelligent, and they're essential to our society, but they're not the same. They're not equal. They're inherently, as a man, I don't have the same parts that a woman does, and vice versa.
Right.
I remember.
Do you have the same value?
Of course, we're both valuable people.
Okay.
We're children of God, But it's like I remember growing up. I was fortunate. I wasn't fortunate. I'm blessed to have been raised with both parents, and my father was a loving man, but he was also disciplinarian.
Right.
My mother was more nurturing. That they're both unique individuals. I have great parents. They're both unique individuals, but they're not equal.
Right.
They're great within their own right. And this illusion of equality that we preach in this country, it's not realistic. And I'm a firm believer in people having their own. And people have accused me of saying, I don't support the protests. The reason I don't is because I believe the black man needs to have his own. The Chinese have their own. Other cultures have their own. We should have our own. I'm a firm believer.
What does our own look like? What do you mean by that?
If people are going to complain about systematic racism, whatever that means, because you have to be able to prove it, why don't you start? If you're a lawyer, you start your own firm. You hire black legal assistants. If you're a doctor, you start your practice. You hire black nurses. Because I've always asked the question. It's like saying, people say, well, we want white people to treat us the way we're treated. But ask yourself, if your house was on fire, no, better yet, let's say oxygen was for purchase and you have a family and you purchase a tank of oxygen. Are you going to be looking out for other people's kids, or are you going to be looking out for yours?
Yours. You look out for your family first.
You see what I'm saying? So when you take that to a much higher level, you look at race. Why would another race look out for us better than their own?
Yeah, I understand that. I see what you're saying. I think,
and I'm not saying to divide. I'm not saying to divide the country. What I'm saying is that I prefer we work and have our own than march and beg other people to give us, because they're never going to give us what they give their own, and nor should they. And I know this becomes controversial, and that's okay.
That's the number one rule of politicians is rules for thee, not for me, right? So what they'll do is they'll have the finest, the latest, the greatest, and then they'll give you something that's dilapidated, rundown, and then they'll tell you that you can't do the same things that they do. They did the same thing with the COVID lockdowns, right? They had armed bodyguards while saying defund police, and also saying you can't leave your house. They're telling you got to wear a mask, where meanwhile they're on vacation, and in exotic places, not wearing masks, not socially. So the point is, like, what I'm saying is, yeah, they'll always look out. People will look out for themselves first, and then they'll prescribe you something. They'll tell you what to do, but won't follow their own words.
Of course
and
not.
So what you should do as an individual first is look out for, take care of yourself, and then if you can take care of yourself well enough, then reach out, try to help your family, and if you can take care of them, then reach out and help your community.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I believe.
Yeah, a lot of people fall for the, everybody should be caring and all of that stuff. I learned that early in life. That is not what's going on. That is not what happened. They're not saying, not to be not caring, F you and I'm this and that. Like if you have enough to where you and your family is good, oh my, yeah, help out wherever you can, because somebody else might be really, really needing that. And but some people do have that mindset. If I have less, and this person, I'm still helping because that might come back good. But I do feel like you said, have your own. And I wanted to make that point, like we did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can go back in history. Black neighborhoods had all the newest Cadillacs. Had all the. I'm talking. This was back when them. In the 50s and all this stuff, when people just want to paint that race narrative, like 50s and 60s was horrible, but they don't go to like what the Detroits and up north and stuff, where people actually had black communities, had black businesses everywhere, black this, black that. I'm from Oklahoma. When they had the Black Wall Street, I'm talking about money all up and through that community out there in Greenwood, Tulsa. I'm talking, we had it. So when people sit back and say, like you said, we want this or we want that, and I talk to my aunt all the time. She's a anesthesiologist, and I tell her, people want to complain, oh, there's too many white doctors. Oh, the white judge don't care about me. Go be one. Go be one. Go be a doctor.
Right.
Go be the judge.
Right.
Go be that police officer. Go do that.
One of the things, like, I plan on going to politics in a couple of years, run for office.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, well, there aren't enough black interns and black legislative directors on Capitol Hill. Why don't you run and hire them? And I believe as men, especially as black men, we have to be solution oriented. Our mind has to be geared towards solutions, not towards begging and marching and, harassing people to give us things. Because no one respects a man that's begging.
Absolutely. No matter what race he is.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, run and hire people that look like me. If that's the change I want to see. Like, most people don't realize district attorneys, prosecutors are either appointed or they're elected. So when you decide that you're not going to go out, you're not going to inform yourself and vote for a prosecutor, what you're doing is what you fail to realize is this is the person that decides in a police shooting of an unarmed black man or woman if they're going to bring charges before the grand jury.
Yeah.
And so people, they don't know this. They're not informed. They don't care to inform themselves. And so then when the prosecutor says, "Hey, look, we're not bringing charges. I'm not going to bring charges against this officer." Well, this person needs to step down. No, they don't. They were elected or appointed. But you were not aware of that because you're not paying attention. So it's like politics, it starts at the local level and it works its way up. And so it's so important that we inform ourselves. And because race relations in America, do I see race relations in this country getting better? I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because people say systematic racism. I look at it as rulership. And when you want things in life, you have to take it. You have to go and take it.
Absolutely.
No one's going to give you anything. And so, which is why I said I believe we should have our own police force, our own hospitals, our own doctors. And, other communities, they have it.
Let me give you some pushback, though.
All right, go ahead.
I
know you've been wanting to give pushback. I can see that.
Now, I hear you, right? I hear you. Do for yourself, but it's more of self as in you identify as in like black. So do like black should look out for blacks, white. See, like I I think it has a good intention behind it, but me personally, I wouldn't want to like segregate it in that way. And I don't think you're saying segregation. I think you're saying if the community is lacking, then that community should step up. And I agree wholeheartedly with that. I just don't want people to think like, that we need to segregate, because that's something totally different. I see the left mainly talking about that now. You'll see they'll have segregated college graduations. They'll segregate things. They'll self-segregate. They'll say, oh, we need less white police, we need more black police, or we need defund the police totally, and just have all black communities. We have to worry about white people, because there's another thing. People think that racism is from whites to minorities, or whites to any other race. That's racism. But no, it's not. Like, any race can be racist. If you believe that the color of your skin makes you superior to another race simply because of the color of their skin or your skin,
right,
it makes you a racist. That's the definition. I don't care if you're white, black, it don't matter. So to me, it's not just white racism, it's racism in general, whether it happens to blacks, whites, whoever. So my point I'm trying to make is, if we're discriminating based on race, and we're trying to hire mainly black people or mainly Hispanic people, and we're saying, we look to hire based on race, that's no different than white people doing it back in the day when they wanted to keep white-only places or discriminate based on race. I think race-based discrimination is wrong. I don't think we should have it at the college level, the professional. I don't think we should have it at all. Right. I don't think it really serves a purpose other than to create division. Yeah, go ahead.
I hear what you're saying. To me, I don't view it as segregation. Now, I believe the option should be there. The option should be there. If you want to attend an HBCU, that's your prerogative, and I support that. If you want to attend a predominantly white college, that's your prerogative. What I'm saying is that other cultures, they have their own. They have their own. There's a culture up in New York, in Brooklyn. They have their own. They don't mingle with anyone. I applied to work at a particular culture's institution a few weeks ago, and I knew once I found out what the culture was, the culture that represented the school, I knew I was not going to get the job, because I knew, and I asked her to interview. Hey, look, this is how I look, and I know your culture. Would that be an issue? Oh, no, it wouldn't. I'm like, yes, it would, because you want to preserve your own, and you're going to hire someone that looks like you, that comes from where you're from, and that's okay. It's having a strong culture, and our society needs that. And so, yes, I prefer that we have our own instead of marching and begging, because no one's going to give us anything. Now, if you want to mingle and go other places, that's fine, but the option to have our own should be there. If you're tired of quote unquote police brutality, why don't we have our own police force?
Police force, or like more blacks in the force, period?
Our own police force.
So you want to separate it?
But let me ask this though: would you be okay with having our own police force?
I don't.
Why not?
I don't see it personally. I don't believe in it, because like I like to believe that cops they mean well, right? There's some bad apples, right?
Of course they mean well. I'm friends with a lot of cops.
Yeah. So my point is, like, I don't agree with like the police brutality thing and like it being as bad as some people say it is. Right? That's me. Some people. It's me. I don't think that is as bad as people say it is. So I don't see the need to. Number one, I don't see the need to separate the police force to make two. Also, I don't believe that just because you have black people in positions of power that it's going to be somehow much different than if you have white people in positions of power. It's not about the race of the person at the end of the day. It's about the content of their character, who the person is on the inside, and what they do, not their skin color, what it represents.
I say that to say, I know having our own it's never going to happen, because a lot of our people don't have a rulership mentality, and that's the issue. Now, again, I'm not for segregation. What I'm saying is, for those people that are concerned about these issues,
right,
create your own. That's what I'm getting.
I hear you.
I'm not promoting segregation. What I'm saying is, to me, my cousin is a cop down in Miami. My cousin's husband's a cop. My brother-in-law's a cop. I support the police. I support my community, but I support the police. My basketball coach in high school is a cop. I'm friends with police officers, and I'm sure when I run for office, the police union will back me because they do great work. Now, there are a lot of bad apples when to get rid of them. But what I'm saying is for people that have issues with police and have issues with systematic racism and all this stuff they complain about, have your own.
Right.
Why not? And that's where I'm at.
Okay.
I'm not promoting, to do it. I'm saying other communities have their own, because the Asian community has the lowest voting percentage in this country. So it's like they come here, they start their businesses, they have their own. Because look at it this way. An Asian man could come into our community, man or woman, and establish a business. How many black businesses do you see in Chinatown? They're gonna run you out. It would never happen.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset I'm getting at. See, you can't go to Chinatown, you can't go to Little India, you can't go into Little Nigeria and do that. But they could come into you like the Arab. Like where I live, there's an Arab corner store. He makes money here, but then he sleeps in a nicer community.
That's fine. I think that's okay as long as like the only reason they're allowed to come in and buy things is because the people in that community aren't doing it, right? If the people were already occupying the space, they couldn't do that. Right? I see here. I'm just saying, like, we need to I guess, like you said, not beg and instead we should go out and do for self, right? If you want to see a change, be the change. If you think your community needs something, go out and deliver it or find a way to get it delivered. I think that's, I guess, on that point where you said you don't really see that. You don't really see them doing, what we do or us doing what they do. I think I see your point. The point is that they have a lot of opportunity over here because we're lacking. We're not taking advantage of the opportunity.
Exactly. And so then we're not taking opportunity to build ourselves up. So then what we do is we go into their communities where they've established businesses, or our communities where they've established businesses, and now we're begging them for an opportunity. They say no. Systematic racism. But wait, he came to this country. He started behind the starting line. He started behind the starting line, and now he's either caught up or he's surpassed you, and he started a business. Why would he pass up his own and hire you? And that's the mentality I want our people to have, that rulership king mentality. Let me do for myself so I'm not begging other people to give me. If you say systematic racism, it's going on in these jobs, start your own jobs. Start your own company.
I wholeheartedly agree.
If you're saying police brutality it's the number one issue facing Black America, I don't believe it is. Fatherless homes are. So then either you encourage your children to join the police force or you create your own police force. But see, the problem is, the reason why it's hard for us to have our own police force is because we don't respect one another. And so for Vaughn or Corey to be in a patrol car to tell me to pick up the trash, who are you to tell me to pick up the trash? And what we use, like, the N-word, like, who are you to tell me to pick up the trash? What's up? Matter of fact, step out the car and square up. The fact that we have little regard for one another, therefore, if you had power over me, it'd be like, who is this? Who is this NIGGA? Who is this guy? Matter of fact, bro, step out. What's up? And so, because of that, when somebody says we should have our own, it's like, what you mean we should have our own? Where are we going? But see, other communities, they have their own. They don't have a problem doing that. And I think that's the point we need to get to have that rulership mentality where, okay, if we're tired of these people that we claim are oppressing us, they're not giving us anything, create our own. It's like a child. When you're living in your parents' house, if you don't want to follow the rules, your parents will tell you, if you can't follow the rules, go rent your own place.
Right.
And so if you don't like my rules, if you don't like the way we're doing things, if you feel you're being oppressed, go create your own. That's all I'm saying.
I like that idea. I like the idea of not being dependent.
It can never be dependent. Vaughn, go ahead.
Yeah, me and my brother talk about this all the time. And not everybody is going to think like that at all. They're going to think just like you said. When you start having this conversation via Corey, you remember, I don't know if you was there, Anderson, but Corey, you remember when we went to D.C. and we went to go try to get some chicken?
I haven't.
Man, we almost got lynched. We were down there and we we were outside the takeout spot, right? We went to DC, and we went into
DC.
Did you guys have your MAGA hats on?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah.
They wear stuff, and Bryson was there, and I think at the time he had a big get up on. I think he had the big hat, and I think he had the cape on.
Flag,
So we stood out. I didn't have anything on, but I had on a suit. I think it was the same day we went to the White House, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Because we had suits on. I think so. So it was that night. Long story short, we pull up to the spot. We say, okay, we hungry, had a long day. Let's go get some food. We get to the spot, and there's some guys sitting outside. We step out the Uber, and automatically they had an issue. And they look like us black guys, but they did not think like us, and they let it be known. So
what they say to you guys?
they started cursing at us. You know where you at?
Was this the hood?
Yeah.
This was the hood. So they say you don't know where you at.
Too much
you
of
picked
the
the
hood,
wrong
I see
block.
white people walking down the street.
Yeah, so it got pretty confrontational. We tried to have a conversation. We tried to calm things down. We tried to rationalize our opinion, our views, and try to come to an understanding. Whether you don't have to agree, right? That's the picture.
Yeah.
That's Bryson in the hat and the cape.
And you know Bryson, he ready to throw down when he has to.
Yeah. Oh, he wasn't scared at all, man. He sat out there. He stood his own.
Remember when we went to the restaurant?
Yeah.
And then we got there, and he had the big red hat on, and the people were looking at us, and it was a black restaurant, and they were just giving us the look. And the guy,
hold on, I can't see.
The manager said, "Oh,
move it over, son." That's the receipt.
That's when that lady paid for us with that.
And then the guy was like, "Oh, we're full tonight," and we're like, "There are 2 extra tables right there." He's like, "We're full," and then when the white lady came behind
that night.
So you guys, oh my god!
It was that night.
And so I'm a firm believer that if is there oppression in this country? Are certain people oppressed in this country? Yeah. Are there roadblocks? Yeah. I'm not gonna. It's because especially as a teacher and a student of history, it's hard for me to read upon history and see the things that were done to Black Americans, that were done to our ancestors in this country, and you can't ignore that. These things have residual effects, whether it's redlining, segregation. These things have effect. They have effect, but I think we've come to a place where, with technology and the advancement this country's made, where if people are tired of being oppressed, if people are tired of being in a system that's not giving them what they need, create your own. And I'm a firm believer in that. And I think our people, we need to think with that mentality. How do we get to that place? First, we start off by marrying before we carry. If we care about our children, want them to have the best advantages in life, we need to make sure that we are mating with people, whether it be men or women, who are of value and of substance.
Right.
Create children who are of value, of substance, who will be of a good use to society. That's how you break generational cycles, and you move forward as a community. You find that sense of identity, that sense of culture. You marry, you procreate with people who share similar values, whether it be a man or a woman, and you raise good children, and that's how you have a productive community. Other communities do it. The Jews do it. The Chinese do it. They do it. Africans.
It comes down to culture.
It comes down to culture. That's what it comes down to.
It has to be. You can't have
people right here.
Say that, Bond. What'd you say?
I was gonna say, and like you said, that history, that happened, that was there. But I feel like as a community, we have to stop teaching our kids that, because that happened, not negating it, not saying that it wasn't anything bad, but that the stuff that happened 400 or 500 years ago, we have to start teaching our children that what happened 400 or 500 years ago is affecting them today, and that's why they can't do nothing in life. They can't be nothing because the white man is still holding them down with the boot on the neck, having them out in the chicken shack. All of that, we got to stop that, and I see that a lot. A lot of people, I'm still getting over I'm still getting over the effects of slavery. You wasn't even here when that stuff was around. So how you even getting over the effects of it? You grew up with a silver platter handed to you in America. You can do anything that you want. The stuff that mind boggles me is we so oppressed when you had a black president.
Oh boy, don't say
now have.
Don't you go there? What you mean? Don't
you are now. You have black politicians, which back in the day that they would hang you for even trying to be a black politician.
Right.
You have black celebrities everywhere, and this is the thing that gets me. I am not able to make any type of money, and the same people who telling me that are black people who worth billions of dollars. Oh, you're oppressed in this country. You'll never be able to succeed due to racism. How in the hell you get $1 billion? How you get $1 billion? How do you own the whole Army fort, Tyler Perry? How you own the whole old Army fort? This now studios. How do you employ hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people? But I'll never be able to. Is it because you don't want me to get up there with you? You want that select few of black people to be able to just share that same wealth and everybody else? And that's the thing. You have all these black people. If all the black millionaires and billionaires came together and just pitched in a little bit in the community, a little bit, they ain't even have to do a lot. They can turn a lot of stuff around in the black community, but what they want to just do is keep peddling stuff that really does not matter in the black community. Like you said, some people might think police brutality is just running rampant everywhere. Some people might think that. If that's what you think, then you go and deal with that. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I ain't afraid to walk out my door. I mean, these people really want you to think that as soon as you walk out the door of your house,
that's what LeBron said.
They got a radar. They got a radar.
LeBron, really?
They out there hunting us, man. You gotta know. They hate us
as soon as you walk out the door, it's a ding, 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 ding. Another one walked out the door.
Yeah.
Another one walked out. Come on, man.
It's never been easier.
We gotta stop that.
This is the easiest time in history to become rich. Easiest time to make it. You have a computer in your pocket at all times. These phones, right? You can do anything you put your mind to. So the narrative is two different narratives. I think there are a few, but the popular ones are, okay, your skin color, your gender, sexual orientation, these things that are immutable, they determine your outcome in life. And the more of those you stack up, right, the intersectionality argument, let's say you're black and you're gay and you're this, you're that, because you're a part of so many oppressed groups, the more oppressed groups you're a part of, the harder it's going to be for you to succeed, right? That's one narrative. The other narrative is you can do anything no matter what group you belong to, because it's not about the group, it's about who you are at the end of the day. It's the MLK speech, the idea that it's not about the color of the skin, it's about who you are on the inside, the content of your character that's going to take you far in life and determine what happens in life. And we should be judging people based on that, not the group they belong to, because no matter what group you try to classify, there's going to be people within that group that aren't 100% the way you think they are. You can generalize, but the generalization doesn't fit everybody, because in the West, we realize that the individual is sovereign. The individual is the ultimate. If you take intersectionality to its end, you get the individual, because you can't classify everyone to be the same. They're not the same. People aren't. That's getting back to the original point of equality. There will never be equality because everyone's not the same. People have different talents. People have different interests. People have different goals in life. And so in order to enact equality of outcomes, you have to enact some type of force, some type of quota, regulations, government. It's going to grow government to the point where you don't have choice, you don't have freedom, and it's someone else deciding what's right and what's wrong for you based on these characteristics, your gender, your sex, stuff like that. That's not a world I want to live in, man, at all.
And I think we should celebrate.
We don't all go to the upper room at the same time.
Right, and we should celebrate these differences. That's why equality is an illusion that people sell to, the masses. While the elite sell to the masses, we'll never have the same set of talents, and we should celebrate our differences, whether it be men, women. Celebrate our differences and bring them together to form a more perfect union. But this notion that we're all the same, no, it's the same argument that can be made for a lot of the things, and that's why I believe facts over narratives. Facts over narratives. What are the facts? I don't go with the narrative that the media is pushing. It's about what are the facts. What do the numbers say? And that's how
I thought CNN was good journalism, man. I thought I could trust them.
CNN.
I thought they were just giving me the facts. They had the little COVID counter on the side of the screen. They got the little funny anchors that come on there.
Literally, when we was at the White House.
Oh yeah.
And they was talking like as soon like literally while we was there, they was already printing up fake news. Trump, it ain't even started yet.
Mind you, Trump had not spoken, and they were like, Donald Trump gives a dark speech to black conservatives. I'm like,
yeah.
Yep.
He wasn't even speaking yet. Look, in a crowd full of maskless, which it was a requirement to wear a dang mask, in a crowd full of maskless people, not 6 feet apart.
Trump gives a All right, fellas, we're gonna be wrapping up pretty soon. So,
no problem.
To sum it up, it's like I believe, for those that feel oppressed, create your own systems. That's my mindset. Are all police officers bad people? No, they're good police and they're bad police officers. The ones that are bad, we need to remove them. The ones that are good, we need to improve training and increase pay. I believe in them having their body cams on at all times. And
it's better for them and somebody can't just come and say, "Oh, he did this because I was black."
Right.
Well, it's right here on video.
And also,
but sorry to interject with you on that, but I do. I've heard something the other day. Like we do have these white officers. Not saying they just going. And again, people forget that we got black police officers. A lot of people forget that. Like they forget that they all just go straight to white. There's a lot of black police officers and Mexican police officers. I mean, but when you have, say, a white person and he is patrolling in a black neighborhood, the black person already, not all, but most, the black person is already gonna be up on arms. As soon as they see the white police officer get out the car, oh hell, here it go.
Yep.
So when they get there and you already looking like this on him, he gonna either try to match your level or he gonna try to get the upper hand. And that's the thing. We have to have better community outreach from everybody. Better community. I'm talking about you got to keep on connecting with the community. So when we get to situations like these, you don't have everybody already so tensed up.
Mm-hmm.
When we get to situations like these, we can come to where the police arrive on the scene. Oh, I know him. Anderson, what's cracking? What's going on? Like, what's happening? What's the situation?
Mm-hmm.
Corey, what happened here? What happened? All right, this dude, instead of get on the ground, shut the, all of this and y'all this and this and this, y'all just here to do it. Oh, come on. And that's where tension gets so hot and so heavy, literally in 3 seconds. As soon as you pull up, 3 seconds, you trying to figure situations out. But somebody already got the notion in their head that you there to kill somebody, you there to do bad or not see their point of view. I don't know what's going on at this scene. I just got a call. Dispatch me out here to this address. It says disturbance. I've done plenty ride-alongs. It don't say disturbance. Person went up in the house. Now the dispatcher give you a little bit, but on the computer it just say disturbance, and they give you the address. So you pull up, you see what's going on, then you figure stuff out like that. But we have to come together as a community, and that's everybody. Like especially the black community. Like I've seen a poster said, like our community is just gone. Like I mean, there's a right, and not everybody, but there's a right, and a lot of people that I know, when they get older, and they get jobs, they go far. They move far away from the black community.
That's Patrice Cullors right there. She got 4 houses, 5 of them.
1.4 million.
Uh-huh.
1.4 million.
But a lot of people,
good example.
They uproot from our community because.
And you know what's crazy?
The things that.
You know what's crazy? A lot of the folks that talk about, reform this, reform that, and all this progressive stuff, I find it interesting. They don't live in the communities that they advocate for.
That's a good point. Most of them don't.
Right. It's like they're anti-police, they're anti-wall. They live in communities.
They got a gated neighborhood with a security office, armed guards at all times.
Not only that, I know a few people that they talk about racism, systematic racism, but they live in predominantly white gated communities. I know a couple in Martha's Vineyard.
I know you're talking about. Yeah, that's the
number 23 that plays for the Lakers. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
That's a good point though, because they claim to be for the oppressed. They claim to be for the little guy, for the minority, and then what you'll find is they're no different. I think they are the ones that are most in your face about it. Tend to be the worst, not suspects, the worst perpetrators. They're the ones that are doing the things they're claiming other people are doing. Right. And they sugarcoat things. They play this game with language. They try to change the meaning of words. They even got who was it? The Webster's or Williams? They got the dictionary to change the definition of racism to fit the narrative of it having to do with power, right? They're literally changing words to match what they believe, their opinion. And so it's like reasoning with these people is really hard, but using language, I got to give it to them. They're much better at us because they'll say things like Black Lives Matter. It's like, if you disagree, you're a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? So they play these mind games, these tricks on you.
And it's like, of course Black Lives Matter. Of course they do.
Right.
Precious lives. And so I don't need for you to tell me that. I know that.
Right. It's just that when you criticize Black Lives Matter, it's like you're saying
you're racist.
It's like you're saying you don't believe that Black Lives.
Yeah, say you always have to, like, when you want to say something about Black, you literally, in order to be not being labeled, I'm talking about the organization, not the group. You always got to do that, like literally every time. You got to separate the two so you won't just be automatically labeled as a racist just by saying something.
Yeah, but they do it a lot.
It's like you said, of course. Yeah.
Planned Parenthood. It sounds good, or
right.
Anything the left does, they put a little spin on, a little slogan, a little tag.
Right.
That makes it really hard for people who don't know further beyond just the title to comment on it or say anything about it.
Well, fellas, I want to say thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, brother. Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it. It's
good
seeing you all again.
Obviously, this is a stepping stone. I'm gonna continue to keep building on it, putting more videos out, and I'm gonna do some live and some will be recorded and we'll put them on. Because I don't know if I want to be live for an hour, 2 hours. I don't have to Rush Limbaugh and all those other guys to be on for 2-3 hours. But it's really good that we get together and kind of break this stuff down. So I really appreciate it. I want to do a little after a post conversation on Facebook on IG Live. If you guys are willing to join me, that'd be great. But I really appreciate it. And thank you so much.
No problem, brother. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Most definitely. Happy to be here.
Guys, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much.
Please do. Please do.